So you're in the right place at the right time because you're at video 4. Don't forget who you are. And this is integrating, right? So we've talked about a lot of things, a lot of concepts right now, but I want to go beyond just the grounding, positive affirmations, checking in with yourself, vision of your future life, chapters, things you want to develop in yourself, really having core values and knowing what they are, using your breath, using your check in. How are you feeling? What are you doing? What's overwhelming you? And then ways that you get back to yourself so that you keep working on that core. So I want to go beyond that because I feel like everything that we've done so far is really important and really good. But some of it is common sense, right? And so some of it, to get into a deeper, don't forget who you are and how do you keep developing that core sense of self. Let's look at a few other things. So remember how earlier I had you do that very basic breathing exercise of breathing in 3 times, 5 counts, inhale and exhale. So this time when you do that, what I want you to imagine that inside you're actually checking into the most grounded part of yourself, identifying where it is that's the most grounded and connecting with it. And then identifying, like, is it distant or are you really connected to that core part of yourself? And spending that breath work 3 times in, 3 times out, that you're always coming into the core, grounded, centered part of that body of yours and breathing to that point and breathing from that point. There's another part, which is the anchoring grounding process. When I did that cueing of just keep your feet on the floor, is a way of cueing into are you grounded? The other thing I like to notice is sometimes whether the spaces that I walk into are grounded, or the person who I'm with, if they're grounded. And if they're not grounded, I have to ground myself a whole lot more to be able to be around them and stay with myself. So let's visualize that. So aside from the 3 breath in and out, finding your center, this time what I want you to imagine is when you breathe in, and you don't have to do any, you could be just here in a conversation doing it, doing this exercise. No one would need to know at all. It's just you building a second level of awareness around yourself. But as you're in the middle of this room, say with me right now in this room, I'm going to have myself actually, and hoping that you do the same thing with me as I'm talking to you. I'm actually breathing into the core of this room, into the center of this room. And I'm imagining I'm pretty much calling myself center of this room, even though I'm not directly in the center. But I'm also grounding the 4 corners of this room. So I'm imagining that this room is so solid and I am aware of the energy in this room and I'm aware of myself in this room. And I'm here present with my energy. And I have that happening before I'm picking up anything else that's going on in this room. Whether there's something going on over here, nobody's in this room with me, but if someone was like, oh, that I could kind of hear that conversation over there. There's cooking going on over here because I'm in an area that's an open room with a kitchen. And maybe I'm hearing noises outside, right? So I want to just ground myself in this space and have the space be grounded so that I can start feeling like I am really centered and anchored in this space. And this space is very centered and anchored. But I also want to change the energy in this room a little bit too. And I do this often when I work with people because I want to make sure that I am feeling my energy before I feel their energy, right? So that I'm not confusing the two. And so I ground myself first in the space, then I ground the space. And then I might want to shift the energy in the room. And I'm not going to be checking out their energy as much as I'm just like noticing maybe their energy. I'm not analyzing it or trying to ground their energy. That's their job. I'm just observing it. But one thing I might want to do is have a little bit of an influence on the energy that's around me. And I want the energy, like for right now, and usually always, I want it to be positive. I want it to be moving. I don't want it to be stagnant. Like if I feel like there's tension in a room, I want to move that tension out. I want to be able to have that tension move around. So I'm imagining that above the space is this beautiful sun, right? A beautiful sunny day, and that sun rays is just coming into this well-grounded space and well-grounded me. And that beautiful rays of sun is moving the things around this room, this space that could be getting stuck. So it's sort of, it's not, you could imagine this being magical thinking, like me as a little kid, just magically thinking this. But I want you to take a few minutes in your own life and just practice it. Like, let's say you're in a line and everyone's getting grumpy and people are hungry and they want to get into the restaurant, that you just ground that yourself, ground that space. Imagine the golden sun, you know, shining rays down in that space and move the energy around and just notice what happens. So I think that we can actually intentionally have some influence on the things that are around us. And that might be our perspective. That might be that we become a breath of fresh air to a space and to our lives and to the people in our lives if we're really centered and grounded and present. And I really believe that is true. If we really know ourselves and we can move energy around us and we can stay very centered, we can actually have a lot of influence and positive impact on the people around us. And that's why people say this all the time, is that when you take really good care of yourself, you actually are helping all the people around you because they're picking up on that positive energy. And the reverse is also true, right? If you're in a really bad space, you're not going to be drawing positive things to yourself as much as you think you are. I always play this game with myself when I'm really irritated and I'm on the phone for a long time on hold with customer service. I always say, okay, if you can show up positively, even though you're really frustrated, you're probably going to get a little bit more out of this conversation than if you come into this conversation really upset. And we all know that's true, right? If you're more like, how are you? And thanks for helping me. And I hope we can get to the bottom of this. Then you're probably going to have a much more positive phone call with that customer service person if you're not yelling at them, right? That's pretty much common sense, but it's energetic shifting and it comes from you being able to access the part of yourself that can do that, which means it's not manipulation as much as really touching base with your core. Don't forget who you are.